I don't know if you guys heard about the new AI model coming out of China. Deepseek, it's called. It's free, open format. It doesn't cost anything to download it. Doesn't cost anything to use. Unlike Chat GPT and all these American models, that there's a paywall to get to them, or you can only use a certain amount of the features without paying. The thing about this Deepseek, this is the interface right here, what you'll see when you open the app, and then you could ask it anything you want. Deepseek is an open source format, so anybody could see the code, anybody could see how it's built. Unlike some of these AI models, OpenAI, Sam Altman, and Elon Musk's model. Elon Musk is not involved anymore. The thing about this is the huge ones like OpenAI and ChatGPT on average use about 6,000 NVIDIA chips, where this DeepSeek out of China is using 1 or 2,000 NVIDIA chips. So it crashed the price of NVIDIA by 17% last I looked on the market, basically taking down the whole tech world on the New York Stock Exchange. I think it's down 700 or 800 points, the NASDAQ, because of this. So this one AI coming out of China has basically crashed the whole US financial market. This is what happens when prices are inflated by billionaires like Elon Musk and his cohort, basically all the billionaire tech bros out there, overinflating the value of these AI systems. And this also reverberates through the market in other areas like energy, because the fact that DeepSeek uses less chips, takes less energy, you don't need as much energy to use the AI basically. So all these companies were stocks were overinflated, energy companies, because they were going to supply in the future energy to these big AI models. Like Amazon was building these huge data centers all around the country that were going to take so much energy, and they needed all this investment money. Sam Altman's, what was it, OpenAI? Sam Altman's OpenAI was costing like $6 billion a year or something to run, and this whole DeepSeek AI model was built for $6 million. So if you could see how that would reverberate through the American economy, basically we've all been getting rug pulled by these big AI companies, getting us to invest billions of dollars in what should have only cost millions of dollars. Okay, that's the first thing. Next, of course, Trump is still on his warpath to cut costs, give more money to billionaires and corporations, and take more money from the middle class. So last night he signed executive orders halting all spending in the government, all NGO spending, nonprofit spending, that kind of thing. And I think it's called non-discretionary spending, basically Medicaid, the SNAP program, which is food stamps. He halted all that for a 90-day review. But this is just how they're going to do it. They're saying they're halting it for a 90-day review, but they're really just finding a way to cut payments to people and forcing people to find another way, or just give up on the SNAP program and Medicaid and die or starve or whatever. His advocates are out there talking about this, and it's basically a FAFO moment for all the people who voted for Trump, and they're on food stamps, all the low-income people. This also cuts Section 8 housing, which I think 26% of the people on Section 8 housing are African Americans, and 37 or 36% are white people, poor white people who overwhelmingly voted for Trump, poor rural white people who went like 80% for Trump. Anyway, we're going to look at some of these FAFO videos I've been watching on TikTok, and I'll react to them as we watch them.
The country into chaos. Without a shred of warning, the Trump administration announced a halt to virtually all federal funds across the country. In an instant, Donald Trump has shut off billions, perhaps trillions of dollars that directly support states, cities, towns, schools, hospitals, small businesses, and most of all, American families. This is a dagger at the heart of the average American family in red states, in blue states, in cities, in suburbs, in rural areas. It is just outrageous. Funds for things like disaster assistance, local law enforcement, rural hospitals, aid to the elderly, food for people in need, all are on the chopping block in this new administration. Why? They need tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy, and these cuts, they think, will fund them. This decision is lawless, dangerous, destructive, cruel. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. Plain and simple, this is Project 2025. Project 2025 by another name. They knew how unpopular Project 2025 was, but the right-wing ideologues are still in control. So they had to do it in a different way, but it has the same consequences and will have the same horrible, negative, overwhelming reaction from the American people.
So, if you don't know who that is, that's Chuck Schumer, the former majority leader of the Senate, now the minority leader of the Senate. In my opinion, he needs to retire. We need a fighter and a wolf in there at that position, not a meek old man who, he's just useless, basically. But anyway, that's what happened. Trump basically canceled funding for all these programs, SNAP, Medicare, Section 8, all these things that, a lot of people that voted for Trump depend on to live. Let's look at another one.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust him with the word that he promised us Latinos. This is crazy that starting next week.
This is a Hispanic girl that voted for Trump, and apparently I think her father was pulled right out of their driveway in their house and deported. And her father would have voted for Trump probably if he could have.
Multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work. Where I work at, a lot of Latinos did not go to work. And that's crazy because we have a living too.
Oh, now we need to come together and do something about this? That's interesting. When you thought it was happening to somebody else, that was okay with you. But now that it's happening to you, we need to come together. FAFO.
We have big news right now. Low-income Trump voters are now worried that he is going to cut their benefits. Washington Post just ran with a new story highlighting interviews with multiple low-income voters from Pennsylvania. And the common theme in all these interviews was that these low-income voters did not want Donald Trump to cut their necessary benefits like Social Security, SNAP, food benefits, and more. And local Republican officials in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, are hoping the president, low-income voters did not want Donald Trump to cut their necessary benefits like Social Security, SNAP, food benefits, and more. And local Republican officials in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, are hoping the president. Right now, low-income Trump voters are now worried that he is going to cut their benefits. Washington Post just ran with a new story highlighting interviews with multiple low-income voters from Pennsylvania.
This is the problem with these voters. They don't read a book, read a newspaper. He said he was going to do this, and he's doing it. So, FAFO, you're getting what you asked for. It's really hard to feel sorry for you.
The common theme in all these interviews was that these low-income voters did not want Donald Trump to cut their necessary benefits like Social Security, SNAP, food benefits, and more. And local Republican officials in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, are hoping the president-elect does not cut benefits to the point where it is catastrophic for local residents. I'm not sure where many of these low-income Trump voters were during the election when he promised to cut benefits on the campaign trail, but now they are in the finding out phase, and it's very unfortunate to watch. Now, you can go read the entire story on the Washington Post website. I think it's an interesting story, and it's one that most Americans should read. But if you were a voter, whether you were low income, middle income, or high income, don't expect Donald Trump to protect your benefits when he's explicitly said he wouldn't.
I need somebody to fucking tell me they're lying. I need somebody to fucking tell me they're lying right fucking now, because what the fuck do you mean that I'm not gonna get my fucking SNAP benefits? What the fuck do you mean?
This is what happens when you choose billionaires and millionaires to run the country. They will never look out for the best interests of the middle class, of the poor. They will always find ways to make themselves and their rich buddies richer. And that is what's happening right now with Donald Trump cutting in a massive way federal funding and grants for the entire people of the United States. And while Jeffrey Bezos and Elon Musk and all his fucking homies are getting richer by the minute since he won, you, the common folk, the middle class and the poor in the United States, are gonna get substantially poorer and are risking your lives. He is taking you to the fucking butcher block. You can pretty much lose your life over this shit, and this is no goddamn joke. Medicaid is gonna be affected. Over 80 million Americans benefit from financial aid programs funded by the federal government for Medicaid.
I hate to tell you, but this guy's right. And I hate saying I told you so, but all the people out there, again, who voted for Trump and didn't do your homework, didn't do your research, just voted on vibes. Oh, we like the way he tells it how it is. We like the way he owns the libs. Well, now you're learning what he's really about. And he's about billionaires and making money for himself. I mean, just look up Donald Trump meme coin if you don't believe that.
Lives at risk. It is also going to affect the SNAP program, which people use to feed their children. People who are struggling, who are going through a situation, who lost their job, are now possibly not going to be able to feed their kids because of this shit. Even the temporary assistance for needy families, the TAMFs, is also going to be at jeopardy because of this garbage. But again, you are getting what you wanted for and what you selected by voting for a maniac who had a golden toilet in Trump Tower and doesn't give a flying fuck about any of you. President Harris has a nice ring to it right now, doesn't it? You are quickly regretting this bullshit. And to make matters worse, he is doing it illegally because he needs Congress to pass legislation like this that affects millions of Americans. Now you're getting all that you wanted. It's fuck around and find out season in full splendor, baby. Que tenga buen día.
Yeah, he's doing it illegally, but he just put a 90-day moratorium on the spending, and he's saying it's a review, and this is right out of the 2025 playbook. Project, if you don't know what Project 2025 is and you voted for Trump, you're stupid, okay? Because you should have educated yourself. This is why Republicans, this is not new for Republicans. This goes back to Nixon, but this is not why this is why Republicans want to defund education, because they want to make more stupid people like the 49% of people that voted for Trump this time. You're in three camps if you voted for Trump. One, and probably the biggest camp, is you're just stupid and ignorant, and you voted on the economy, even though Republicans always make the economy worse. Two, you're a racist white supremacist. That's a smaller camp. And three, you're just going to hold your nose and vote Trump in because you want tax breaks because you're part of the 1%. So if you're in those three groups, especially the first group, you need to wake up. And in the midterms, you better vote the right way, or this guy in this last video is correct. Lives will be lost. Lives are going to be lost. But if you want to mitigate this in any way, get out and vote. All you people that are low income and on government and get government help and don't vote, you're stupid, because your vote does count. The biggest lie the Republicans ever told on the American people, to the American people, is that your vote doesn't count. They want you to think that, but your vote does count.
You know what? I want to say this morning. You know how many people you know getting government assistance And then when you tell them, hey, you know what? You need to vote. It ain't got nothing to do with me. As long as it don't affect my benefits, I ain't got nothing to say. Now, for every finger, that means a person. Well, I got some good news for you benefit toting card carrying people. You know, Project 2025, some of it is already in effect. Supreme Court, how they gave Trump immunity and how they taken away affirmative action. Now this. In the state of Tennessee, if you are between the ages of 18 and 20 and 54 and you're getting food stamps, you're going to be required to get a job to keep them benefits.
Now, what she's talking about there is called means testing. So when Republicans get power, they do this every time. They take every government program and they put in means testing. If you want food stamps, you have to work 35 hours a week. That's going to be the new rule. So if you're collecting food stamps and you have 7 kids now and you don't work, you're going to have to get yourself a job working 35 hours a week. And guess what? Then in those 35 hours, if you work a week, if you make over $20,000 a year, I don't know what the threshold is, they say you make too much money. It's called A Catch-22, which is a great book, by the way, Catch-22 by Kurt Vonnegut. You should read it sometime. Anyway, that's a Catch-22. You have to work 35 hours a week, but then if you get a job that's decent, they're going to take away your SNAP benefits because you make too much money. That's how they get rid of the program entirely. You see how this all works?
A lot of people, like my mom, who gets who's on a fixed income and get food stamps, and for every dollar that they add onto her Social Security, they take $1 off of her food stamps, or so she's in a no-win situation. Right now she's getting what I think $109 a month. But then you got all these big girls that have had all these babies. Now, I'm going to keep it real now. Don't sit here and if it don't pertain to you, don't say nothing. But I'm going to tell you something. You, for what I'm about to say, don't you sit here and say, oh, that's in every race. Because it is. But don't you sit here and try to make it seem like it's racist.
Here's some statistics for you on SNAP benefits, food stamps.
I want to give y'all some statistics. 26% of SNAP benefit recipients are African American. 37% of SNAP benefit recipients are white. I don't know if y'all are ever gonna find out that, like they're coming for you as well. But they're coming for you too. You're just too goddamn blind to see it.
So 37% of white people, mostly in rural areas, let's keep it real, that voted for Donald Trump. We know that you did it to own the libs and because Donald Trump hates the same people you hate, but that doesn't make you immune from his bullshit because he's coming after you, just like everybody else. It's not white people against black people and Hispanic people against white people and black people or whatever you think. It's rich against poor. Trump is for the rich and fuck everybody else.
I voted for Donald Trump. My wife sent me divorce papers. What do I do? It's called fuck around and find out. I didn't even know it was possible to be served divorce papers this quickly. I guess you do now. This is a story that I found on X. I don't even know what to say. I'm shocked. I married somebody willing to throw away our entire life over politics. Sir, it's because of your low morals. That's why. Last week we were happy. Today we're getting divorced. She won't even have a discussion. She says that there's nothing that I can do to change her mind. And she insists that she's going to report my parents because they live off disability. But my dad does some cash work out of repair. So now I'm worried for my whole family. Again, fuck around and find out. She wants me to buy her out of the house. We have $300K in it. I can't afford that. When I told her she was packing her things, she said, I guess you're finally going to really know how it feels to be fucked by a Democrat. Her name is in the deed, but not the mortgage. I'm not confident that I can reason with her. What do I do? Where do I start? How do I fix this? Is anybody else experiencing this in the wake of the election results? Again, fuck around and find out.
That one's just funny. I mean, it's a few months old now, but that just illustrates, how divided Americans are, divided within their own families, their own marriages about Trump. And he's right. You do have a moral issue if you voted for Trump. If you don't have a moral issue and you voted for Trump, then you're not educated and you need to read and educate yourself.
If you voted for Trump because you thought he was going to bring grocery prices down, I have some very bad news for you. A lot of our produce comes from Mexico. 2/3 of the tomatoes that Americans purchase are from Mexico. 90% of the avocados that they purchase are from Mexico, just to mention two examples. So that guac is definitely going to cost extra. If you voted for Trump because you thought he was going to bring down the cost of housing, a lot of our lumber, cement, other materials comes from Canada, which means that construction costs are going to go up. Not to mention all of the ways he's going to roil the U.S. auto industry, because a lot of autos cross borders in North America multiple times before they're ultimately finished and sold to consumers. Not to mention the fact that a lot of U.S. manufacturers purchase inputs, intermediate goods like metals and cement and other things from Canada, from Mexico, and not to mention even the retaliation that we should expect. All of which is going to be very bad for consumers, not to mention, again, many of the U.S. workers that Trump allegedly wants to help.
Okay, guys, so FAFO, fuck around and find out. This is the Spin Cycle, trying to put out videos every day. If you like my stuff, like, share, subscribe, comment below. What do you think about the FAFO movement? What do you think about Trump's midnight signing of executive orders to put a halt for 90 days on all spending on nonprofits, Medicaid, SNAP? Go ahead and comment. And if you're a person who's getting your money cut off from the government, I've already heard from friends of mine that work for river coalitions that are getting their money cut from nonprofit stuff, like they do environmental work. If you're somebody like that, go ahead and comment. I want to hear from you. Maybe we'll do an interview or something. If you got your SNAP benefits cut, go ahead and comment. I want to hear from you. Thanks again, guys. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.